you can use an if formula to adjust grades by something other than just an absolute divider. So in this case, if you were grading on a scale where students could get either a 0, 1, 2, or 3, and you wanted them to correspond to these grades over there, you couldn't simply divide the columns or it's going to give you the wrong values. So we're going to start with this column right here where we're going to use the adjusted scores. We're going to do equals, and then if for if, then an open parentheses to start the formula. If expressions start with a logical expression, which is something like an equals or greater than or less than. In this case, we're going to click on the cell where the grade is. Student 6 was assigned a 3. And then we're going to say if that score is greater than 2. And the reason we say greater than 2 is that that means that anything greater than 2, which the top of our scale is a 3, so in that case it's going to be a 3. Then we're going to hit comma. And then the first thing that comes up is the value if that is true. So if it is greater than 2, we want it to be a 100. It's already correctly calculating that that is in fact over 2, and so should get a score of a 100. At that point, we can put a close parentheses and finish out the formula. That one is correct, but if I copy it to the rest of them, they're going to just display as false because none of the other numbers over here are greater than 2. So now we need to tell it what to do if that value is false. So if I go back to this formula and after 100 where the value of true was and I put another comma, now we're going to tell it what to do if that's false. In this case, we're not going to put another value because there's several more options. So instead, we're going to put if again, because you can do that inside of a formula. And then we're going to do another open parentheses to start a new if expression. We're still going to identify C2 as the cell we want it to look at. In this case, we're going to say greater than 1. So now we're looking at what to do if it's a 2. We'll put a comma. And in this case, if it's a 2, we want it to be a 70. So then we'll put 70 as the new value if it's greater than 1. It will check to see if it's greater than 2 first, and when it doesn't find it to be greater than 2, it will now look to see if it is greater than 1. And if it's greater than 1, it will assign it a 70. Now we've got 2 more values we need, so we'll put a comma, and then we'll do another if, and then we'll put C2 again, which you can just type in rather than clicking. And we'll say if C2 now is greater than 0. So now we're looking to see if it's a 1. And then we'll do a comma. And then we'll add that we want that to be a 50. So now it's going to say if it's greater than 2, it's 100. But if not, if it's greater than 1, it's a 70. And if not, if it's greater than 0, it's a 50. For our last value, to show you that you can also put in text values, in this case, we're going to have it check it one or more time. In this case, you don't have to do any more if functions because now you're at the end. So this will be the last. If it's not greater than 0, meaning it is a 0, the value if false is going to be, if you use quotation marks, this will tell it to insert text rather than a number. And I'm going to put in the word missing to show that that's what we would use for a student who, say, had not completed an assignment or not taken an assessment. And now it's going to use that as the text value if it finds that it is in fact a 0, rather than assigning it a number score. So now that that formula is complete, if I copy that down, you'll notice that now they're all calculating correctly. In this case, a 1 is supposed to be a 50, and so it's doing that. A 0 is supposed to list that it's missing, and then a 2 is supposed to list itself as a 70. So that's how you can use an if function to adjust scores from a number, a simple number, to a number maybe more that your gradebook needs for when you're finally turning in grades.